Netizen said it was 3 p.m. on Friday in a shopping mall in Shanghai. Just like a science fiction movie, there was no one around. The world was so quiet. Look at this, it's empty here. The second, third, even fourth floors. Right now, vacancy rates in Shanghai are exceptionally high. Retail property vacancies have reached 8.2% and rents have already dropped by 3%. For shopping malls, the pressure is enormous. Consider the electricity bills, water bills, and cost of running the staff. Can the rent revenue even cover all these expenses? Shanghai Pudong Airport is one of the largest airports in the country. However, due to the current poor economy, few people are traveling and very few passengers. On the streets of Shanghai in the scorching summer, a mother and daughter wandered around in their cotton-padded jackets. I wonder what they've been through. Shanghai is even more outrageous than Australia. This massive mall has almost no customers except for merchants. Where have all the people gone in a city with a population of 30 million? Oh my god, the airport is empty. Shanghai Pudong Airport, empty. One thing is sure, Shanghai's population is definitely decreasing. There are fewer cars and people on the streets, fewer people eating in the restaurants, and fewer gatherings. So, where are all these people going? Perhaps they've run out of money. Expenses remain high, but earning money is becoming increasingly complex. More importantly, there have been fundamental shifts in people's mindsets. Now people are more focused on enjoying themselves and their families. They're no longer willing to participate in those so-called bad friends and useless socializing. There's definitely a sense of decline, and it's even more pronounced than before. While the charm of Shanghai remains, it feels a little different. Nanjing West Road is the very heart of Shanghai, a hub for international brands and financial institutions. Yet here, some are forced to sleep on the streets, a striking contrast to the luxury that surrounds them. In recent years, as China's economic growth has slowed, the glittering image of this global metropolis has begun to fade. Although Shanghai's permanent population is close to 25 million, the streets are quieter, layoffs are more frequent, and this most prosperous of Chinese cities now faces challenges it has never seen before. Increasingly, residents are feeling the strain of rising living costs and mounting economic pressure. Countless shops have closed down, and even in primary city center locations, the vibrancy of the past is difficult to recapture. As one blogger observed, the National Exhibition and Convention Center is not remote. It's right next to Hongqiao Railway Station, yet it stands deserted with hardly any sign of life. How many malls like this, half dead, are there in the country? This section is probably the most popular street in this mall. Let's take a look. There are numerous well-known brands. Look at Starbucks on the left, Bawang Chaji on the right, Seymour and Li Ning. The second floor looks the same. In Shanghai, before daybreak, a crowd of people is already waiting to grab work and make a living. A blogger and his son arrived at the odd job station in Songjiang, Shanghai before 4 a.m., and the place was already crowded. This morning, I deliberately brought my son to witness an early lesson. We saw hundreds of people gathered together clutching the tools they use to make a living. Their eyes followed every vehicle that passed the intersection. They were waiting for the first labor vans of the day. For them, being early is not a choice, it's a matter of survival. A moment too late could mean an empty day with nothing at all. My son stared in silence at the men, uncles in their 50s and 60s. Usually quiet, perhaps saving face, but the instant a van pulled up, they surged forward, craning their necks, asking urgently, "How much? What kind of work? I can do it." This wasn't just a job search, it was scrambling for it, no interviews, no hesitation. If the price was right, they jumped in immediately. The blogger said that here there are no neon lights like those on the Bund in Shanghai. nor the skyscrapers of Lujai's Way, only ordinary people struggling to survive on the margins of life. Some people at the bottom of society often sleep under Shanghai's Songjiang Bridge due to the high cost of rent. Tent. There's only one tent here, with quilts and bedding outside, and there's more across the way. There are even clothes hanging on the railing here. Ordinary people are struggling to make a living, and many industries in Shanghai are facing challenges. Recently, several social media bloggers have reported that Pudong Airport is facing significant losses and is reportedly considering layoffs, potentially affecting up to 8,000 employees. Although no official announcement has been made, the news has quickly garnered widespread attention and heated discussion. Some netizens lamented that even core infrastructure such as airports is undergoing large-scale downsizing, and the prospects for other industries are likely even bleaker.
This
is Pudong Airport Terminal 2. What's going on? Why is there no one here? It's so empty. Is this related to the economy? It's Saturday, September 7th, around 1 p.m. The airport is empty. Why is there no one here? I'm 30 years old and I've been laid off 4 times in the past 10 years of my career. My total severance pay is $26,600. I'm 30 years old now and I've worked for 10 years, including internships. I moved to Beijing right after graduation. My first salary was $630, and after becoming a full-time employee, it was $770. I figured that if I worked hard in a big city, I'd definitely be able to save money. My second job was at an entertainment live streaming company. At the time, I capitalized on the rapid growth of the internet industry, and my salary doubled to over $1,400 a month. But the good times didn't last. Due to the company's poor management skills, the company began to lay off employees on a large scale. The blogger explained that she had just been officially hired. When she was laid off, the company, to save money, didn't want to give her the N+1 compensation, and instead tricked her into accepting a transfer to another position. She was initially working in design, but was told to transition to administration or the front desk. This was her first layoff, and she was completely unaware of the regulations. Fortunately, friends around her advised her against transferring, so she didn't agree to do so. The next day, the company signed the compensation agreement with her as usual, but it went bankrupt shortly thereafter. After receiving her compensation, she joined a company with a good salary and benefits package. Do you know what happens to people who've been unemployed in Shanghai for over a year? In 16 months, I submitted 492 resumes, received 0 interview invitations, and the gap in my career felt like a sin. When I first quit, I felt liberated, as if my life had been reset. But freedom quickly turned into another kind of torture. I finally mustered the courage to apply for a job, only to be slammed back into reality. Gradually, I began sleeping at dawn and waking up in the afternoon to scroll through recruitment apps until I became numb. When I received my 100th, 200th, and 300th read no response messages, my emotions finally exploded. I began to dread calls from home, dreaded my friends' concern, and began to question why I couldn't get anything done. The blogger said she only truly came to terms with it later, after seeing online that everyone was going through pretty much the same thing. 8 out of 10 of her girlfriends were unemployed. Many of them only managed to land a job after sending out hundreds of applications. The blogger shared that she had just returned from work, and although she had been mentally prepared for layoffs, she still felt a sense of loss when faced with the reality of it. She said that in the past she might have fallen into self-denial, but now she sees the situation differently. She believes the market environment has changed, and being laid off doesn't mean she's incompetent. In fact, she has always been a top performer at the company. I've been involved in real estate development since graduating in 2016. I never really got to experience the so-called golden era of real estate, but when I first joined the industry, most of my colleagues could switch jobs and get at least a 30% pay raise, sometimes even more. Now it's an entirely different story. The market has flipped, and it's basically a case of too many people chasing too few opportunities. The blogger said that one of her friends was laid off at the end of last year and felt extremely anxious during her period of unemployment. Recently, she finally received an interview notice for an administrative receptionist position. She went through 3 rounds of interviews, and by the final stage, she felt fairly hopeful. However, the company then sent her a text stating that she didn't meet the requirements for the role. The blogger couldn't help but sigh that today's job market is truly baffling.
32岁的我被裁员后，一天打2份工。
I'm 32 and after being laid off, I now work 2 part-time jobs a day, making about $300 in total. I get up around 8:30 in the morning, sleep until I naturally wake up, wash up, and make myself breakfast to start the day with some energy. I whip up some coffee foam, pour it into milk for a latte, and pair it with purple sweet potato, fiber, and protein all in one. After breakfast, I tidy everything up. These days, I've already sent out over 100 resumes, but they either leave them on read or tell me I'm not a fit. Finding a suitable job feels nearly impossible. She said she's been working as a blogger for over 6 months and earns enough each month to cover her expenses. Her second job is at a startup where she can work remotely. It's a new project and she doesn't currently receive a salary. She said that while working 2 jobs is busy, she lives a fulfilling life.
2023年在上海500万买的房子，
In 2023, my husband, Xiao Liu, my parents-in-law, and I spent all our savings on a new 103 square meter apartment in Shanghai for $720,000. The down payment was $220,000. We took out a Housing Provident Fund loan for $180,000 and a commercial loan for $320,000. We purchased the apartment off-plan and have yet to move in. The property was very popular at the time, which triggered our points requirement and resulted in a 5-year sales restriction. The blogger said she was curious about how much their apartment would be worth now. After doing the math, she realized that the current price had dropped significantly compared to what they originally paid. Hearing this made the whole family feel a little distressed, as a large portion of the money they had used was their parents-in-law's retirement savings. However, since the purchase was for their own living needs and they don't plan to sell in the short term, they've decided not to worry too much about whether the value goes up or down for now.
上海断供房暴涨40%。
In the first half of 2025, the number of foreclosed homes in Shanghai exceeded 4,000, representing a 40% year-on-year surge. That means on average 22 properties are being repossessed by banks every single day. Behind each property is the collapse of a family's main support. The numbers may look cold, but for the people living through it, it's a crushing reality. This is a truth that must be acknowledged. It's not alarmist talk, but what's actually unfolding in Shanghai. In Qingpu District, one residential complex has experienced a 45% decline in value over the past 3 years. The cheapest unit sold was available for a down payment of only $14,000 at approximately $1,400 per square meter. The owner took a massive loss, and in today's market, if you want to sell, you have to cut deep. These days, even if you stop paying your mortgage, the bank won't really come after you. I work in property repossessions here in Shanghai, and currently banks are taking a cold approach towards defaults. In the past, if you missed payments, the bank would sue you, the court would enforce the case, and your home would be put up for auction. In that situation, not only would you lose your down payment and all the installments you'd already paid, but you'd also be on the hook for legal fees, interest, and penalty charges. Ultimately, you'd lose the house and still owe the bank a substantial amount. However, now there are too many defaults, repossessing doesn't help, and the banks also can't sell the properties. So, instead of rushing to sue, they'll reach out to you right away, try to understand your situation, and usually offer 3 possible solutions based on your circumstances. The blogger said that the first option is a repayment pause, meaning you can postpone your payments. The second is paying interest only. For example, if your monthly mortgage is $1,400 and you can't manage that, the $560 interest portion might still be doable. It's basically turning your mortgage into an interest-first principal-later loan. The third option is that the bank will actually assist you in finding a job. If you're out of work, they'll mobilize their staff to help connect you with opportunities. This was previously unthinkable. It seems that these days the ones suffering the most from mortgage defaults aren't ordinary people, but the banks themselves. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.